95% of people, I mean, I don't know the stat, but I'd be willing to bet, won't remember what you cold called them about.
On the first cold call that a CEO picked up, I completely fumbled. It's going to be infinitely more difficult to get through to that CEO the second time.
Now, how do they normally let people kind of into their circle or into their kind of vision of receiving value?
Like the parts that I thought would be objected to, I don't even get to that part of the script in the first place. Like, this is not how we started our conversation. We're being open about that, but we needed it to hook you. So what's a good intro? Today we're here with my first mentor, the guy who got McKay's Enterprises version 1, let's call it, to heading revenue, and who's been there with me since quite literally almost step 1 of the journey. Not just been a good mentor, but a good mate and somebody I could really rely on. This is Adnan Arsalani.
Thanks for having me on, Mac. Hi, everybody. Yeah, good to speak more about, strategy of McKay's Enterprises. Obviously, seeing the growth from the beginning, from the very first DM that either I sent it to you or you sent it to me. Obviously, a lot of things were different back then, and things are very, very different now. But yeah, glad to be here.
Okay, cool. Let's get into it. A quick brief is, I'm sure you've seen by now, so I've started a series that's going to be documenting my journey from 0 to 21K. Now, obviously, I couldn't get it from true 0, which is when I started the business, because I only had the idea now. But my revenue is at 0, so I mean that's a plus on the last prospect not moving through the pipeline when they were supposed to. So given that I am at 0, I'm trying to get to that first client hits our revenue target already. So I just want to get from 0 to client 1 as quickly as possible and put together a strategy for that. So helpful context would be that, as you know, we've tried cold calling. We've done a batch of cold calling. And then initially I got a lot of my conversations off of LinkedIn DMs. And right now I'm working on the behavioral control system, which is essentially a fancy way. It's our trademarked term for the system that ensures that the client experience is consistent across every interaction, whether that be with me from McKay's or with a piece of our content or in different service settings, whatever it may be. So I'm just trying to get that wrapped up before I start outreach again, because I noticed that I would have like maybe 4 or 5 different prospects in different media channels, like cold calling or DMs or email. And then, but across those, I would communicate differently. And I think the experience that prospects would have had would have been different as well, because, for example, I would respond faster on a LinkedIn DM than I would on an email.
Yeah.
But maybe more depth on an email. So just things like that, just ironing it all out. So that's where I am now, and I'm trying to get to just client 1 as quickly as possible, trying to figure out what would be the best strategy for that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So is that the context, yeah?
Yeah. If you need any more context, yeah, feel free to just ask.
Well, I'll let you start with the questions first, or the kind of conversation, and then if I do need to ask more context, I mean, you can include it in the content as well if you want to, even all of this. But yeah, I'll ask at that point. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think the biggest question I'd have is, given that we took on cold calling, oh, here's a good piece of context. The kind of playing pool that we are in is about 200 to 700 firms. So that sounds like a lot, but as you know, in cold outreach, like it's really a volume game. So we don't have a lot of wiggle room. So I've chosen something that obviously is a little bit more puts me in a sticky situation to figure this out, because the segment of the market that we're targeting, it's a very specific segment that is ready for our system, but not too developed to where it doesn't make sense for them to implement it. And we're targeting firms in the US, so that would have around 700 firms. Now I'm thinking cold calling right now, it almost feels like I need to figure out the script because I don't have a huge amount of leads to burn through by the time I figure it out. Because once I reach out to somebody and the secretary now gets the note that, okay, we're not interested in Mac from McKay's Enterprises, it's going to be infinitely more difficult to get through to that CEO a second time once I've spoken to him once. So it almost becomes super challenging to, it's almost like I need to get it right on the first try with the firm, or the lead is burnt for at least 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay. Just my thoughts on that. So one thing that was really valuable from doing the cold calling was that you got to see how these firms engage with like potential suppliers contacting them, right? Basically cold callers. Yeah. And I think through that experience, I mean, you obviously can tell me whether it's true or not, but you probably learned like, who is it that you speak to first? Who is it that you speak to afterwards? What type of person is it? How do they sound? Like, how do they speak on the phone? How much time do they give you on the phone to even get your point across? And like, those are all indications of like the profile of the person that you're trying to attract, I believe. Yeah. Now, you could argue that burning through all of those leads at the start with outreach is actually the worst thing you can do. I'm not 100% sure on that, to be honest. I think you learn a lot more from those interactions than you would have through other means.
Yeah.
Because there was immediate feedback from actually getting through to someone on the phone. Whether it's feedback as if, like, we're not interested, or the gatekeeper kind of keeps you out and all that kind of stuff. These are all things that are good pieces of feedback. So now that you have maybe had a few conversations with these individuals and other individuals that you've contacted on DMs, I would like to think that you have more information to build a new type of outreach strategy, or whether it's cold outreach, whether it's email kind of newsletter type thing, whether it's content, whereby you kind of know more about what they need and how they respond to things, so that you can build some sort of lead magnet or some sort of marketing, whether it's content or something else, that would then attract their attention, or maybe open up to a conversation, maybe open them up to just receiving value from you, even if it's from like an email newsletter. Yeah. Would it be fair to assume, sorry, go on.
No.
I was going to say, would it be fair to assume that you have more information on the type of person that you're targeting now than you did before?
Yeah, 100%, definitely, because I had a whole script planned out, and most of the time I didn't even get to the script. Most of the time, like, the parts that I thought would be objected to, I don't even get to that part of the script in the first place. And so I think it's communicating value very rapidly, because I've got maybe 10, 20 seconds, and I know it's a sales cliche that they say you've got the first 5 seconds. I think hooking their attention has been a lot more challenging than I thought it would be, and is going to require something different than I thought it would take. But I just haven't figured that out. And I guess the strategy that we would be talking here is what would my approach be to figuring that out? To, I guess, figuring out how can I, if I do get through to a CEO, whether it be on email or on DMs or cold calling, regardless of the media, how do I, like you just said brilliantly, how do I get them opened to receiving value from me in the first place? Because I think they are used to getting a lot of um, cold outreach, and so they just immediately bin it in their minds.
Yeah,
So yeah,
good question. There's obviously, if you look at the group of people as a whole, so like the 700 firms, you're going to have like maybe a spectrum of different kind of profiles within there, right? Of like, oh, this type of CEO, this one's more active on DM, this one is like really big on LinkedIn, and so like I could try through LinkedIn with him. This guy, like his LinkedIn page is empty, but maybe I might get through to him by emailing him, or maybe he's active on Instagram, and like there's maybe a few different channels that you could kind of pursue, right? I think the the real question that I'm thinking is, is like, what would be someone in that position, that CEO's position, way of like being open to receiving value? Now, how do they normally let people kind of into their circle or into their kind of vision of receiving value? Like, what does a CEO of one of these firms typically do day to day in order to receive value? Now, the way that I'd start that question is like, for myself, I'd say, what do I do as an entrepreneur in my kind of current situation? What do I look at? How do I let people get through to me when they're trying to offer me something?
Yeah.
And if I was to answer that question, I would say email,
Yeah.
LinkedIn, and then like warm relationships.
Yeah.
As well. So like,
yeah, definitely email I think has the highest hit rate, because I've responded to a bunch of emails that I've gotten which were cold outreach. I don't think I respond. I can't think now off the top of my head of any um, LinkedIn cold outreaches that I've responded to. And then cold calls. Firstly, I've got a call blocker, but if someone does get through to me, I usually just cut it. So
yeah, I don't even pick up the phone. I mean, like, I don't pick up the phone. I if I don't recognize the number, I'll send it to voicemail. If they don't leave a voicemail, I don't call them back.
yeah, and if they call and they do get through or they do leave a voicemail and I don't know who it is, I also don't call back to find out. Even though we are both like um, founders of businesses, we don't, and we could potentially, we are in the situation of that CEO where there could be somebody cold calling us with some value to offer. But yeah, I guess cold calling is a challenging one, and I think that like the online space, there are people saying that cold calling is not dead, which is why I wanted to try it. Um, I think it's very difficult for Medium to just die out completely. Because the other thing about emails, which I'm now comparing, is cold calling is direct. Like I got a lot of feedback from cold calling, which I might not have gotten if I just emailed them and they just decided, okay, I'm going to ignore this. I think the feedback of we're not interested is more valuable feedback than no response to an email. So
Yeah,
that's what just makes it a tricky one for me, because it almost feels like if I'm going for the most information, the fastest, cold calling would be good. But that feels like it throws my positioning off and makes it hard for me to re-enter um, into the engagement. And given that we've got such a small um, pond of fish to play with, yeah, it begs the question whether it's worth it still.
Yeah. Yeah. This is, you're talking about specifically cold calling.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing I will say for sure is that cold calls, I suppose the positive about cold calling people, from your point of view as someone who may be burning through leads, is that 95% of people, I mean, I don't know the stat, but I'd be willing to bet, won't remember what you cold called them about.
Okay.
So
That's interesting. Yeah.
yeah, so you might have cold called someone and they listened to you about for 20 seconds and then they said, look, Mac, I'm not really interested in this. And you said the name, you said, I'm Mac, you said, I'm from McKay's Enterprises, I do this, and this. But I don't think they would remember who you are and what you spoke about on that phone in those 20 seconds in a month,
Yeah.
to be perfectly honest, right? Which means that your name and your likeness and, you know, the name of the business, it doesn't matter if they come across it again, because I don't think they'll remember the cold call. Right? Yeah. If you cold call like 3 or 4 times and it's like you use different tactics to get through the gatekeeper and you ended up speaking to this guy and he just kept putting the phone down on you, then he'll probably remember it, because obviously repetition is more memorable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are going to be other options that you can follow for getting through to these people. I actually think, and this is based off of like what I've seen online, either from people kind of claiming it works, but also seeing the ads myself, is paid ads.
Yeah.
And the type of paid ad that I would probably recommend for this type of like situation you're in is, you know, you're unable to get a conversation with this person because you haven't got a pre-existing relationship.
Yeah.
There's nothing for them to even trust you with or give you time of the day at the moment, right? But if you use some sort of paid ad campaign that put an ad that said something along the lines of, this is a free newsletter for you to teach you how to solve XYZ problem in XYZ business, and you use obviously ad targeting methods to get it in front of potential CEOs of these firms, then you could actually test putting these ads in front of them and see how they respond to it. Yeah. And obviously the people that sign up to the newsletter would be like, okay, I'm accepting some value from you now. I'm ready for some value from you, because they sign up to the newsletter. Whereas people, if let's say you didn't get any sign-ups, that would tell you that the thing that you're advertising is not valuable to them.
Yeah.
Or the way you advertise it might not be valuable. It could be the copy, it could be the way that the kind of image is created, the video is created, that kind of stuff. It could be the creative itself, it could be the offer itself, that kind of stuff. But paid ads, and this is why paid ads is quite good, is that because you're forcing your offer in front of people.
Yeah.
And so if it performs poorly, it means that there's something wrong with the creative or the offer.
Yeah, and I guess you can get more information across in this time. Like if you call somebody, it takes maybe 20 seconds to say the same amount that they could read in 3 seconds on the ad just being in front of them. Especially CEOs who scan and read fast. So it's definitely an approach to consider. And maybe if we can't take up paid ads right now, content is technically like a free ad. If we can just figure out how to get it in front of them. I guess content is like paid ads light.
Yeah, exactly. You can do that for sure. You could even try the same technique on LinkedIn with potential, contacts on there. You can kind of get through to them using LinkedIn credits or some sort of connection message, where, you say like, look, I want to give you free value using this. Sign up to my newsletter and you can get it. And obviously you can build a really attractive newsletter offer using some sort of copy. I think there was an interesting one that I saw from James Smith. Are you aware of James Smith?
No.
Yeah. So he does, he used to do fitness coaching, and then he did online fitness coaching, and now he's gone really down the path of coaching fitness fitness
Yeah.
coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
he's
so
coaching coaches.
he's coaching coaches. Yeah, a long list of coaches. But yeah, he's gone really more into like business coaching now, and I'm guessing it's because he makes more money from it. But basically,
Yeah.
um, he did a newsletter, and I like his newsletters. They're quite good. He did a newsletter where he said, he said this exactly: some random bloke I'd never heard of put a paid ad up saying that he wanted to email me 52 ways in 52 days to improve my business. That was a kind of like, I guess not the exact copy, but like the way that it was presented to him. He said, I didn't actually care, but I thought I'm curious to see how he does this. Yeah. So like something that piques curiosity, something that's got like a number associated with it, or like a deadline associated with it, or like a clear outcome associated with it. And I don't know how many of these CEOs use Instagram, but I'd like to think a lot do, because so many people on Instagram nowadays. There's a portion of them who would probably see that and be like, I've never heard of this guy. I really like the copy. I'm interested to like kind of see what he kind of produces, see if it's actually legit or not. So I'm just going to sign up. And it might only be the first, 3 to 5 people that you get on there that you need to just start getting some value out in these circles.
Yeah.
And depending on how you frame it as well, you can kind of frame it in the sense of like, again, I don't know what these guys particularly value the most out of everything, but you can frame it in the sense of like, it's going to get you ahead of your competitors. You get a free consultation after you get to the end of the 10 days or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like there's something there that you can kind of start to build interest through. But again, paid ads is a way that you get it in front of people immediately.
Yeah, I agree. So now we can't do paid ads, but I think this has inspired a interesting idea how to do paid ads for free. And that's going to be paying with time instead of money, meaning you got to pump out more content to make sure that content gets out to people, and invest more time in figuring out why your content isn't getting out to people and how other people's content is. Maybe that's a cool addition to the series at some point. I'll throw that in. But I appreciate you jumping on with me. I know we've gone a little bit over time, so I don't want to take too much more of your time. But
okay. I just want to add one more thing before we finish up. Yeah,
that's perfect.
Outro. But yeah, I know we're kind of limited on time. It's okay though. When you first see a new name or a new company come up in something, I don't know, you'll probably be like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Who is this person? Whatever. And let's say they're providing they're offering something that is like kind of something that you're interested in, but you've never heard of the guy, so you don't really care.
Yeah.
Right? Don't trust him. And then so you see him DM you on LinkedIn, and then you see him DM you again on Instagram with the kind of maybe a similar type style of messaging, maybe slightly different, and then you see a paid ad from him, and then you get a cold email from him, and like every time you see this person again, you're kind of like, I suppose you're kind of you're kind of becoming familiar with the name, and just the fact that you see the thing more than once shows you that it's more important. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, I've thought about that, but I haven't thought about it the way you just put it. So that's great.
Yeah.
Because I haven't thought about it on one platform, but I haven't thought about it the way you just said it now, which is you see it on LinkedIn, and then you see an email, and then you see an Instagram DM, and then you see content, and you see a paid ad. That makes sense, because I guess the person will also seem more relevant given the fact that you are seeing them across your different social apps.
Yeah. It's like, I can't get away from this person. He must be important. What he's saying must be like worth listening to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's one guy that I saw about this. I can't remember what his name was. I think it's Niels Clement. I think
Yeah.
he does. I think he created like almost like a SaaS for creators who want to sell through funnels. And I kept seeing his ads, and I was like, the first time I saw it, I was like, I don't know who this person is. Like, why is he showing up on my ad, on my feed? And I saw more, and I saw more, and I saw more, and then like once I just clicked on the ad, and I was like, okay, let's just see what this guy's about,
Yeah.
right? And then obviously, but obviously I never went through, like, I think he did webinars and things like that. I never went through it, but like just the fact that I saw him more often meant that he seemed more important to me.
Yeah.
And then I saw testimonial ads, and I saw this, and it kind of like built up a more bigger profile. But yeah, that was the final point on that.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. I think that's definitely going to be something that we're going to be implementing heavily now. Is a multi-step or multi-touch approach, because I think I've kind of been following that ideology of learn one medium and get really good at that, and just focus all your efforts on getting good on that. And I think in most cases that is the best approach, of course.
It is.
100%.
It is, yeah.
But we might be in a unique situation here where it's actually better to spread it across as many different touch points and mediums as possible.
Yeah. If you can only hit 50 people up, let's say like in our niche, for example, for the tuition that we're doing, there's probably about 50 to 100,000 leads that I think would be out there to like target. So it's like we've got plenty of room to play with, right? But if you've got like one that's only like 50 to 100 people, let's say 100 individuals that are in this kind of market, then you're now in a situation where you can only email them all 100 once, or maybe twice or three times, and they might even block you, right? So now you have to actually get in front of them in a different way, and get in front of them in a different way. And it's almost like everywhere they look, they see you. So it's like,
eventually they're going to give in and be like, okay, fine, I'll just hear what you have to say. And I think what's important is in that moment, then you can't drop the ball. You know what I mean? And I will say, on the first cold call that a CEO picked up, I completely fumbled. I was so nervous. I was slurring my words and mixing them up, and I think he could feel the nervous energy from the other side of the call. And he goes, "Yeah, look, we're not interested." And I didn't even say our objection handle to that I'd planned out and practiced so many times. And then he says that, and I was just like, okay, well, have a good day. Bye. And I just cut it. Yeah. And the thing is, that comes through repetition, right?
100%.
I've seen now you can't simulate the emotions that you're going to feel in the real situation. That's what's tricky about it.
Yeah. Role playing practice and then real life kind of game footage or like gameplay is how you get it now. Yeah, 100%. The first sales call that I did, or first cold call I did, is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Probably the 10th one, exactly the same. Maybe the 20th one, I was starting to get a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just practice makes perfect with those kind of things. But yeah, no, that's all good. Should we wrap up there?
Yeah, let's do it. I just want us to quickly do the intro and then the outro.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen this thing on, I think, was it Impulsive? And I see that and then I started seeing it more and more. It's becoming common for the intros to be recorded, like maybe in the middle of the episode. And they leave that in. Like they leave in the part where they recorded the intro.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes towards the end, but like just at these random spots. And it's kind of just a bit of transparency to be like, yeah, this intro was like, this is not how we started our conversation. We're being open about that, but we needed it to hook you. So, you know what I mean? But yeah, so what's a good intro? This is today we're here with my first mentor, I'm the guy who got McKay's Enterprises version 1, let's call it, to to heading revenue, and he's been there with me since quite literally almost step 1 of the journey. Not just been a good mentor, but a good mate and somebody I could really rely on. This is Adnan Arsalani.
Thanks for having me on, Mac. Hi, everybody. Yeah, good to speak more about strategy of McKay's Enterprises. Obviously, seeing the growth from the beginning, from the very first DM that either I sent it to you or you sent it to me. Obviously, a lot of things were different back then, and things are very, very different now. But yeah, glad to be here.
Okay, cool. Let's get into it. All right, so that was a good chat. Definitely got us set up for strategy. And let's hope that this strategy and this approach, this way of thinking, gets us to that first client. But yeah, Adnan's a busy man, so I'm gonna let you go here. And yeah, if there's anything that you got going on before we leave, all is yours.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So just very quickly, just to tell you guys what I do. So I'm ops director for a language tuition company called Gidda. We teach Punjabi language to individuals in the UK who want to learn Punjabi. That's kind of taken up most of my time now, running that business. We've probably taught over, I don't know the exact number of students, but I know we've got over 800 reviews at the moment online. Over 100 active students currently in our classes, maybe around 120, 130. I think we're changing the face of learning Punjabi, making it the most accessible it has ever been in the UK for a lot of people. So yeah, really exciting project. And yeah, I don't think there's anything much more to say on it other than keep an eye out. You're probably going to be hearing that company a lot more in the UK in the next few months.
Awesomeness. Well, yeah, we will keep an eye out, and I'll tag your socials, I think, here. And yeah, then I'll see you guys in the next video.
Nice one. See ya. Bye-bye.
All right, cheers.